What's up, Razzmanites? Dollhouse Season 2 continues as we take a look at Episode 2, entitled Instinct. Today, on the Razzman's Reality. In this episode, a man's wife has died while giving birth to his child, and therefore it has become impossible for him to bond with his boy. So he goes to the dollhouse and wants a mother. Rather than a babysitter or a nanny, he wants a mother. Someone to love and bond with his child on a molecular level. So Topher does just that. He changes Echo on a molecular level to make him this little boy Jack's mother. Well, what ends up happening is that the maternal instinct that Echo has is way too strong, and she begins to feel like the father had an affair, and so she goes and sniffs through his belongings and sees his actual wife that died. And so the husband is forced to tell Echo the story of how his wife died, and then of course he gets upset by it and calls the dollhouse and tells the dollhouse, hey, this isn't working. She is way too intense. I want to get rid of her. Well, what he doesn't know is at the time, Echo, while still imprinted with a motherly personality, overhears that conversation and thinks that her husband wants to have her and her baby killed. So she manages to get away from the husband, or the father, and goes to see the police, and Ballard and the dollhouse team finally track her down at the police station. They knock her out, and she wakes up, and Topher wipes her. But all she does when she wakes up, getting a little tongue-tied here because I'm battling some sinus drainage. But anyway, she wakes up and does the normal did I fall asleep thing, but before Topher can say for a little while, she knocks him in the nose. Then she goes into a car and says, go please, which is a really funny line because she's wiped, she has no idea how to drive a car. But eventually she figures it out and goes and sees the baby, Jack. Well, the reason that she did this is because of what I just said. She was changed on a molecular level, so the maternal instinct was too strong for a normal wipe. So eventually Echo gets to the house again, gets to the baby, and has a knife and threatens the father because she doesn't understand what's going on. Finally, the father explains to her enough of the situation that she realizes what the right thing is to do. He tells her the story again in a wiped state, so she puts the knife down and walks away. Then Paul goes and sits next to her and says, "Are you okay?" And she says to him, "I had a baby, and now I don't have him anymore. They took my baby away." "Why would they take my baby away?" And Ballard begins to really feel sorry for Echo, and he says, "Look, I know that you feel everything." And she's like, no, not just feel. Or excuse me, not just, he says, "I know that you remember everything." And then she says, "Not just remember, feel. I feel everything. I was married. I was in love. I had a little boy. And now I don't have him anymore." They make it so real every time. They make it so real. Why do they do that? And so then Ballard says to her, "Look, I know you want me to help me take down the dollhouse, but maybe it's too much. Maybe we should tell Topher what's going on with you. I can do this myself." And then Echo's like, "No, feeling nothing would be worse. I'm awake now. I don't want to go back to sleep." So, as you can see, the evolution that we saw with Echo in the second half of season 1 is really, really intensifying. And every mission she has, she's becoming more and more aware of what's happening to her. And this motherly instinct episode, no pun intended because that was his name, is really, really intense. I forgot just how intense it was. I don't know if they named it instinct because of the fact that they were trying to call it a basic motherly instinct, but a motherly instinct to me isn't basic. It's one of the most real and hardcore things that there would be in life. So yeah, this episode is really intense and really freaks me out, and it shows just how deep of an actress that Eliza Dushku is, because you really, really feel for this woman that had her baby taken away from her. And the other thing that happens in the episode is that Madeline returns, aka Millie, who was of course Paul's neighbor and ended up being a doll, and Paul ordered her release in order to agree to work with the Dollhouse and Echo at the end of season 1. She returns to have her diagnostic, and of course doesn't remember Paul, but she tells Paul her story about her having a child and the child dying from cancer, and assures Paul that Echo's pain will go away. She calls Echo the girl because she doesn't know her name, obviously, but she can tell that Paul cares for Echo, so she tells Paul that Echo's pain will go away. So yeah, just a great episode all around. The acting on this show continues to be superb. Every episode, there is nothing bad I can say about it. So that is episode 2 of season 2, Instinct. This is reality according to the Razman. And the Razman style, it's not just a catchphrase, but a way of life.